Sure.
This meeting's being recorded. I just got to explain.
All right. And so that is true. Welcome, everybody. It's Monday evening again, and we're here for ACIM Talks with Reverend Jim. Boy, November 4th. Years almost gotten past us again. Seems like just the other day I was wondering what the year would be like. So here we are, right? I just let Kathleen in, so I think we've got a full complement here to get started. On the
Hi, Kathleen.
did you get the agenda for tonight? I wanted to start out with this book, and the book is called Messages from My Higher Self. And Sherilyn, do you know that title?
No, I don't. And I don't have the book, of course.
When I visited you the last time, the reason you don't have the book is because I took it with me.
Wow.
With your not only permission, but encouragement. It was just sitting on a shelf. It attracted my attention.
Okay. That's right.
Books.
I do remember now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't read a lot of books anymore, but somehow it kept kind of calling to me.
Called you, didn't it?
So I guess you saw me looking at it and you said, you can take it home and like maybe I haven't started reading it yet. Go ahead and take it. So I did. And I looked it up. I'm just starting to read it.
Okay.
So I've read maybe 20 pages or so, but I find it quite interesting.
Oh, good.
So I wanted to share some of the early material. I haven't read much of it, and tell you a little what it's about. And to do so, let me just share my screen. And the author of this book, his name is Robert Scutch. Can you see him okay there?
Yes.
And the copyright date on the book is 1982. And Robert Scutch is co-founder and director of the Foundation for Inner Peace, or at least he used to be. And just a quick bio, a prominent man even before he got into spirituality. In the 1950s, he did TV commercials, mainstream things, and they listed some of his credits. In 1970, he became an investment advisor. But I was intrigued when I first started reading the book because it starts out with a little introduction from his wife, Judith Scutch. Now, you all will know her as the publisher of A Course in Miracles. And then after that, there's a author's note of a few pages from Robert Scutch that talks about how he kind of got into automatic writing. It's kind of the same sort of thing that Helen Schuffman described. when she wrote A Course in Miracles. It's like she was just scribing the ideas given to her through this inner voice. And he talks about, like, somehow he had learned, or someone had mentioned it in classes or something. And so he decided to give it a try by getting into a meditative state and just waiting to see if something would happen.
Wow.
And he was disappointed, but at first, but he kept trying, and eventually some stuff started coming out. And the thing that's fascinating me is how much what that voice says, how similar it is to A Course in Miracles.
Wow. I didn't know that about him. And as the husband of Judy,
yeah,
then she was familiar with this, with
yes,
this, with channeling. Oh,
yes. And of course, she
wow.
interacted with Helen Schuckman, Judith did,
Right. Wow.
So there was something else I was going to mention, but maybe it'll come back to me. I just want to show you a couple of the excerpts I pulled out. And
Thank you.
let me pull them up. They're fuzzy, so bear with me. Try and get them big enough to where we might be able to see it. Now, I did it 2 pages at a time. What'll happen if I, no. Hold on. At any rate, let's try this. I'll make it a little smaller.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good.
And we'll just do a page at a time. There are about 6 of these on love, and then there's stuff on true love versus, I guess, just love. But if you don't mind, let's do our reader list and have our readers take a shot at what came through him through automatic writing. Doug, are you reading tonight?
No, I can't. Sorry.
Okay, Cheryl, you're reading, right?
Yes.
So you'll be reader 1, then D, 2, Joan 3, Ron.
I don't want to read, Jim. I'm having some
Joan
money
is
problems.
all right. Sure, dear, I understand. So Ron will be 3 and Kathleen 4. Does that sound okay to everyone?
Yes.
All right. So, Sherilyn, why don't you take a shot at this first one here on?
Okay.
Can you
All
see
right.
it?
Yes, I can see it fine.
Oh, fine.
Okay. On love, loneliness is unavoidable to those who have invested other bodies with the golden fruit of love. For then, without that fruit, they starve. And yet, if they could only see that their real selves are blessed with that same fruit, then loneliness. Then loneliness would never be a word. How simple life can be when we are aware that God has given all of us the golden fruit of love. And when you know you have such fruit to offer others in your world, then you will know that you yourself are ever whole and holy, filled with love for you and all who come to share your wealth as you share theirs. For all the fruit within the bowl comes from the only tree there is, the tree of love called God.
Thank you.
That's beautiful. Wow.
Well, let's do another, if I can get it just right here. Let's see.
It
How's
looks
that?
good. It looks good to me.
It's good to me too.
All right.
Okay.
So we're up to Ron, right? No, D, excuse me.
Your heart is filled with tender thoughts of flowers and of herbs. Your heart is full of music that remains a part of all. Your heart is God. And if you open up the portals that allow the flowers and the herbs and music to flow forth to all the world, your heart will grow and thus encompass everything you touch. There is no limit to the reach of love. Oh, it moved it.
Can you see
And
it?
when you
Sorry.
open up the and there is
And
no
when you,
limit to the reach of love. And when you open up the iron gates that you have made, you then will throw away the key forever. For the all embracing heart of God can know no limits once it is released, nor will you want to smother it again. For there within your heart, you have the means of touching all the world. And when you do, the world will touch you back. Is this not really what you want? The then
Sorry.
open. That's okay. It's a moving target here. Then open up the gates. There are no dragons there and wait for you. The fields are green, the flowers radiant in their rainbow dress, and all your brothers wait for you to enter and assist them to unlock their gates as well. Wow, does that sound like the course?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I guess that's what the book is. But so far, there's a very consistent theme, even though the scribes were different. It
Yeah.
talks the same way about the same things. And notice it's not talking about a lot of things, but there's so much to say. To me, it just strikes me or resonates like that one of my favorite poems that I played for you guys called Poem for the Voice of God. And I don't know if you remember that one. I've shared it with you a couple of times, but it just stays so focused and yet never boring on the subject of love. How exciting it is in all its aspects, like phenomenal, right?
Mm.
Anyhow, it got me going and it made me think of you guys because you're experienced, A Course in Miracles students and appreciate the essence of this material.
Thanks for sharing.
Absolutely. Thank you. Other comments? We good or worth your while or?
I would make one comment that as I was reading and listening to Dee, I could really connect with what was being said in the readings because I'm beginning to experience that kind of thing here where I live.
I can tell.
Good.
Beautiful.
Do you see how it's hard to explain?
Oh, yes.
But once you start to be awakened to it, it's out of this world. You can't really you just have to start experiencing it. And then you start to know what we're talking about, right?
Yes.
So it happened to me many years ago, and in so many ways, it's shown me it never steers you wrong. And the other phenomenon that occurs is that it's kind of like this peace, that passive all understanding. So it doesn't mean everything is perfect in your life. It just, you kind of have this unshakableness that keeps you peaceful no matter what. And it's real. I'm as amazed about it as anyone, but my joy increases when I see others starting to experience it as well. So I think your comments are right on, and I really appreciate it, Cheryl. How about the rest of you? What are your thoughts?
I was struck by what he said about loneliness, that if you know who you really are, that you are never lonely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess I could say I have experienced that too, truly. Here being in my new living area, and once again being alone in my life,
Yeah.
I'm not lonely. I'm not
Yeah.
unhappy or lonely at all. I'm doing and go on living and doing,
Yeah. And for me, I don't mind sharing my life, but
Right.
I'm not needy the way I
Yes.
used to be.
Yes.
And so I stay content to be where I am. I've carved out a wonderful lifestyle this way. So I'm not opposed to sharing it, but it works just fine on its own too.
Yes, I would agree. I feel the same way.
Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for sharing that as well. And Joan, um, does that help you with loneliness?
Oh, definitely, definitely. Yeah, I'm quite content being alone.
Yeah. And I told you guys about Sadhguru, and right, it's been 3 or 4 years ago now, but in one of his talks on YouTube, he said, if you're lonely when you're alone, you must be in bad company. And he says, take
That's great.
another look at that guest. He may not be the villain you made him out to be. He doesn't argue with you. He'll do what you want to do. Take another look. Make a friend with that one. And I tried to take them to heart and try and do that with my best friend, me. And that was 3 years ago, and it works. I'm so glad I took another look at that potential friend and made him a true friend. Anyhow, that's our little special segment for tonight. Kathleen, why are you so quiet?
Oh, I'm just pensive.
All right. We'll give you a chance. We'll perk you up along the way a little bit, okay?
Sure.
All right. Tonight we are back in our Oracle text reading in A Course in Miracles. Doug, do you have your Course in Miracles book? Doug, are you there?
Have we lost him? I don't see him on my
Hello,
screen.
he's there. I see
Okay.
him.
Okay.
Doug, can you hear me? Doug, can you hear me? All right, let's see. Can you unmute this one?
Is that better?
Yep. All right.
Hmm.
Do you have your Course in Miracles book?
Yes, hold on.
All right, buddy. Let me know when you have it. And as far as readers, let's pick up. We are on page 226 in the text. And we're in chapter 12, which Spirit told us to read as part of group 2. And boy, that's a long chapter. We've been working on the Sane Curriculum the past 3 sessions. And do you see page 227, the vision of Christ?
Yes.
That goes on, and then there's looking within on 229, and that goes on for quite a few pages. And finally, on 233, we finish with the attraction of love for love. So we'll be at this a while. The way we're going, possibly the end of the year.
Jim,
Yeah,
what page are you on in the Course of Miracles?
226
Thank you.
in the text. It'll be part of chapter 12. Specifically, folks, we're going to start on paragraph 7. And our next reader here is Ron.
Yes, I'll be glad to read paragraph 7.
Doug, are you there yet? 227?
No,
It's near the front. Look at the page numbers.
does it say vision of Christ?
Yeah, but
Okay.
that's, I'm sorry, we're starting on 226,
Okay,
paragraph 7.
okay, I got it.
And Ron's going to start there, sir. Ron?
Yes, I can do that. I have said that the ego's rule is seek and do not find. Translated into curricular terms, this means try to learn but do not succeed. The result of this curriculum goal is obvious. Every legitimate teaching aid, every real instruction, and every sensible guide to learning will be misinterpreted, since they are all for facilitating the learning this strange curriculum is against. If you are trying to learn how not to learn, and the aim of your teaching is to defeat yourself, what can you expect but confusion? Such a curriculum does not make sense. This attempt at learning, in quotation marks, has so weakened your mind that you cannot love for the curriculum you have chosen is against love and amounts to a course of how to attack yourself. A supplementary goal in this curriculum is learning how not to overcome the split that makes its primary aim believable. And you will not overcome the split in this curriculum, for all your learning will be on its behalf. Yet your mind speaks against your learning, as your learning speaks against your mind. And so you fight against all learning and succeed, for that is what you want. But perhaps you do not realize even yet that there is something you want to learn, and that you can learn it because it is your choice to do so.
I know that was a long paragraph, but Kathleen, would you also read 8? Maybe he'll enlighten us a little.
Sure. You who have tried to learn what you do not want should take heart. For although the curriculum you set yourself is depressing indeed, it is merely ridiculous if you look at it. It is possible that the way to achieve a goal is not to attain it. Resign now as your own teacher. This resignation will not lead to depression. It is merely the result of an honest appraisal of what you have taught yourself and of learning outcomes that have resulted. Under the proper learning conditions, which you can neither provide nor understand, you will become an excellent learner and an excellent teacher. But it is not so yet and will not be so until the whole learning situation as you have set it up is reversed.
Why don't we finish here? Let's see, are we back to Sherilyn?
Well, probably, unless you're going to read.
Yep. Go right ahead, please.
Okay. Your learning potential properly understood is limitless because it will lead you to God. You can teach the way to Him and learn it if you follow the teacher who knows the way to Him and understands his curriculum for learning it. The curriculum is totally unambiguous because the goal is not divided, and the means and the end are in complete accord. You need offer only undivided attention. Everything else will be given you. For you really want to learn aright, and nothing can oppose the decision of God's Son. His learning is as unlimited as He is.
Thank you, dear. There's a lot there, but I was just kind of led to let them finish up with all the paragraphs, because I think it'll be easier to talk about. Why did he start out in paragraph 7? Why did Jesus say, I have said that the ego's rule is seek and do not find? Why did he start? What is the Sane Curriculum? Isn't that what this section's called? Let's start there. What does it have to do with the ego's rule?
The ego is not sane.
Right.
And so how can his curriculum make sense unless you accomplish its goal? Kathleen?
Well, the Sane Curriculum is a curriculum that's unchangeable. Whereas the where they're saying seek and do not find, it's because with the ego, you're always seeking and you're always looking, but it's always changing, so you have no center. Whereas when you are in the sane curriculum, it is. You don't have to question it, you just have to follow it or be it.
Can someone tell me what the sane is?
SANE, as
And-
opposed to insane.
Oh, okay.
So this whole section has been first for us to recognize the curriculum that we've chosen.
Right.
I believe Jesus is saying that this curriculum, to choose it is a mistake because its goal is to have us continually seek but never find what we're looking for. It's a deliberate goal perpetrated by something with a purpose. We would call it the ego, because she said the ego's rule, here's what I'm going to get you involved with. Spending all your time seeking in a way that you will never find what you're looking for. And you say, oh my God, if that's true, that's insane. And yet, there could be a purpose behind, there could be a sane purpose behind the insane diversion. Who's following me?
I'm
The
following
in-
you this far, but I don't know where you're going.
I
Say
follow
that
it.
again, Sherilyn.
Pardon? I followed it this far, but I don't know where you're going from
Okay,
here.
and
with
then there
this.
was another comment. Who was that?
Well, the insane shows you what the sane is.
Yeah, but you have to get outside of them in order to see. You can't see the forest for the trees. So you have to get up high.
Well,
Yeah.
well,
What
it
would
brings you to
happen
the
if we ever found love? What would the repercussions be for the ego?
Bye-bye, ego.
yeah,
It would dissolve.
that's right.
It's untrue, because the premise of real love is unity, equality, sameness, not differences. And that is the ego's. The ego has the audacity to think that it can oppose the truth. Truth says no separation, no differences. The ego says bullshit. Yes?
Mhm.
Is that sane or insane?
Insane.
Does that make sense? Okay. So why would you follow its teachings deliberately designed to keep you from finding the truth. It's the ego's way of preserving itself. Your insanity is what it's going to exploit. How am I doing?
Good.
Great.
So, do you see Jesus first making us aware of that and saying, if you want to follow a method guaranteed not to work, it cannot work. It was designed not to work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then keep doing what you're doing. But if you want to find what you're looking for, you'll have to use a different teacher. That teacher is the one that Sherilyn was mentioning. She's becoming more and more aware of. A Course in Miracles says, a healed mind does not plan. It carries out the plans given it through a wisdom not its own. It follows a different teacher. Now, the other one's teachings are so ingrained that the only way you can follow the new teacher is to let the old teacher and its teachings go in terms of directing your path. And you'll start to find one of the signs is this joy unspeakable. This peace that passeth all understanding. These are some of the signs that you become aware of, that little intuition, that little nudging that you didn't pay attention to very much before. And you'll grow to set your life by it. Your comment.
I think I understand.
It's pretty compelling once you start letting it in. Your comments.
Well, to me, it sums it up in paragraph 7, sentence 11. But perhaps you do not realize even yet that there is something you want to learn and that you can learn it because it is your choice to do so. And to me, that's what you're describing.
Yeah. Okay. So let me use another metaphor. Let go and let God. Have not one thought of your own. That's pretty insulting, isn't it?
to the ego.
That's
Mhm.
pretty humbling, isn't it?
Yes.
Why don't you go with me? Maybe it's worth it. Look at lesson 189 in the workbook for students, and let's see if that one will help. Lesson 189 starts on page 359 in the workbook for students. The title is, I Feel the Love of God Within Me Now. Do you see it?
Mhm.
Go to paragraph 8. I'm sorry, 7. Maybe you've heard this before. It's a fairly famous phrase from the Course. Jesus says, simply do this. Be still and lay aside all thoughts of what you are and what God is. All concepts you have learned about the world. All images you hold about yourself. Empty your mind of everything it thinks is either true or false, or good or bad, of every thought that it judges worthy, and all the ideas of which it is ashamed. Hold on to nothing. Do not bring with you one thought the past has taught, nor one belief you have ever learned before from anything. Forget this world. Forget this course, and come with wholly empty hands unto your God. You might say, surrender completely, without exception. Is that non-duality or duality? Is that
Non-duality.
one thing or
Non-duality.
more than one? What'd you
I
say?
think-
One thing.
How often? How often?
All the time.
All the time.
Except for what?
No exclusions, except for never.
Okay, so is that one thing all the time?
Yes, it is.
So another way of saying that is, I will follow truth despite all appearances, and the truth starts with an L.
No.
It's what I am. It's what how many things are. All things, everywhere, all the time, despite what my senses teach, what my pre-programmed emotions teach, what my eyes see, because they are the methods of seek but do not find. Now, there was a lot of stuff there, and indeed in this curriculum. But how are we doing with summing it up? If you want to find what you are seeking, resign now as your teacher. How are we doing?
Good.
Hanging in there.
Now that's the theory. Got it?
Yep.
But you're gonna need help practicing it. Right?
Yes.
Yes.
Your teacher is simultaneously the helper, simultaneously the comforter, simultaneously the compassionate one. He will not give you more than you can bear, but what you can bear is up to you, isn't it?
Yes.
So the proof is in doing it, not in the theory. There are benefits from knowing the theory, but the real benefits are in the experience. I feel good about it.
Yeah. And that's what I reference as going beyond the words.
Yes.
Jim,
Yes, sir.
you mentioned another book, which I don't have. I've got Unity, A Course in Miracles, and your book, Earth School. Which book am I missing?
Well, every week we alternate. Like next week, we'll be using the Unity and A Course in Miracles book
Okay,
by Paul Hasselbeck.
right. That one I have.
And tonight we're using A
this one.
Course in Miracles. We're not using my book at all.
Okay,
So just two books, Doug. The Course in Miracles book
and then this.
and the, yes, sir, you got the whole
Okay.
thing. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Jim,
Yes. Yes.
I'm sorry, but I need to ask you for the page numbers where you were reading and speaking of all of this information because I didn't catch it and I don't see it. The page numbers for the last.
Let's start and get a regroup. Okay. We're on page 227 in
Okay.
text.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, no, I'm wanting to know what page in the workbook for students where you were just talking.
I quoted two references from the workbook. Okay.
Yes. Those are the ones I
first
need.
reference was from lesson 135. Okay. And specifically paragraph 11, I believe. It said, a healed mind does not plan, it carries out the plans given it. That was from lesson 135, paragraph 11. The second reference from workbook lesson 189, paragraph 7, Sherilyn.
Okay.
Jim,
So
could you hold up the
those.
workbook for students? That's the one I'm missing, I think.
No, it's part of your Course in Miracles book. The Course in Miracles book is 3 books in one cover.
Oh, okay.
So the first one is called the text. The second part, the workbook for students. The third book is called the Manual for Teachers. We good?
No.
Yes.
All right. If you're ready, we're back on 227, and at long last, we're starting a new section.
The Vision of Christ.
Romans 6, the Vision of Christ. And who's the next reader? D? Maybe?
Yes.
Okay, let's do it.
The vision of Christ. The ego is trying to teach you how to gain the whole world and lose your own soul. The Holy Spirit teaches that you cannot lose your soul, and there is no gain in the world, for of itself it profits nothing. To invest without profit is surely to impoverish yourself, and the overhead is high. Not only is there no profit in the investment, but the cost to you is enormous. For this investment costs you the world's reality by denying yours and gives you nothing in return. You cannot sell your soul, but you can sell your awareness of it. You cannot perceive your soul, but you will not know it while you perceive something else as more valuable.
Comments? Make sense so far?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're up to Ron.
The Holy Spirit is your strength because he knows nothing but the Spirit as you. He is perfectly aware that you do not know yourself and perfectly aware of how to teach you to remember what you are. Because he loves you, he will gladly teach you what he loves, for he wills to share it. Remembering you always, he cannot let you forget your worth. For the Father never ceases to remind him of his Son, and he never ceases to remind his Son of the Father. God is in your memory because of him. You choose to forget your Father, but you do not really want to do so, and therefore you can decide otherwise. As it was my decision, so it is yours.
Any comments there, my friends? What about the last sentence? You chose to forget your Father, but you do not really want to do so, and therefore you can decide otherwise. Why can you decide otherwise?
Because we have free will, we're always choosing between the ego or truth.
And because it's always there.
Yes, true.
You can't sever the truth by proclamation that I'm separate from it. Who would do that? Who would attempt it?
Right.
It's true because it's true.
Yeah.
It never varies. It's you can vary away from it, but it has to only be itself to be all powerful. There's no attacking the truth. Why can't you attack the truth? It's invulnerable. What makes it invulnerable? Because it's true. Am I making
It's true, and it does not change.
Yeah.
It's not complicated, is it?
Yeah. It's a constant.
It can only be messed with in an illusion.
Right. Right.
In all honesty, does that make common sense?
Mm-hmm.
Only the truth is true. Drop the mic.
Yep.
And you can take that to the bank and live every moment of it the rest of your life. I am in danger nowhere in the world because that's lesson 244, Sherilyn. Okay, because I'm not in the world. I do not reside here, but I do have a role to play here. So I'm going to put my hologram here, my avatar here to carry out the role. You know, Shakespeare said all the world's a stage, and what's the play about? What's the purpose of the play? This book says the purpose of the play is to answer your prayers for help, to teach you what you are. Now, an interesting way to go about this strategically, the way it's going to teach you what you are is to help you see what you are not. Every time you try another road and fail, it brings you closer to trying something else. How long do you have to beat your head against the wall before you come home is entirely up to you. But here's the mercy part of it. The mercy part of it is you can beat your head as long as you want because you're not here. You don't have a head. You don't have arms and legs. What we are is not a body.
Spirit.
Go ahead, Dylan.
Spirit. That's
Yeah.
what we are.
So I'm not in danger here. Maybe my avatar will have adventures, or my actor here on stage will have various scenarios and various roles, but they have morals to their stories. That's what I should be taking in. It'll turn out to be kind of a roadmap to get me ultimately out of this mess if I let them be what they're now intended to be. The Holy Spirit will take my wild imaginings of death, misery, and pain and replace them with equally wild imaginings about love and joy and happiness. They're still imaginings, but the happy imaginings will allow for God to take the final step to answer our prayers. But it must be prepared through dream replacement, through a replacement of our imaginings with an imagining that is compatible. You with me? With the
Yep.
truth.
Yeah.
I'm back to God's plan for salvation, right?
Mhm.
When you see the beauty of it and when you see the loving nature of how it's being carried out, because in truth, there are no broken bones. There are no real pain and anxiety. That only happened on the stage. Who's with me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So play your part without fear so you can reap the rewards of the learning and the teaching that the play is offering. It used to offer misery and pain, but in the hands of the new teacher, he'll show you how to see them differently. And that awareness changes everything, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Time to close out for tonight. Did I get off too far?
No,
It was great.
Nope.
Thank
No.
you.
Not at all.
not at all.
Great as always.
Hey, I'm good, and even more so if you're good too, my friends.
Absolutely.
Okey-dokey.
So
Okay.
I hope you'll come back and join us. Who knows where spirit will take us, but you can trust it'll be somewhere happy
Yeah,
and joyful and rewarding and valuable. So I'm done. Final comments or criticism, questions?
What you say,
Gratitude. Thank you.
Yes,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Thanks for being there, Jim.
what
Coming.
you said is
Absolutely.
true.
See y'all next time here.
We'll leave the light
Okay.
on.
Peace
Okay.
out.
See you next
Yeah,
week.
do that. Good night, everybody.
Have a blessed
Good
week,
night.
everybody.
Thank you.